Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
1. Introduction. The words of world leaders are very powerful. When a president or a prime minister speaks, the whole world listens. Their statements can change how countries work together. Sometimes a leader says something that is very serious and unusual. This story is about one of those moments. It is about an important event involving the United States and Russia. It all began with a public announcement from the American president. This announcement was a surprise to many people. It was about a very serious topic, and people around the world wanted to know more. This story will help to explain what happened. It will look at the facts to help you understand the situation and why it matters so much to everyone. We will explore the words and the actions that made this event so significant. This is a look into how high-level communication can affect global safety and relationships between powerful nations. The main focus is a statement about special military ships. These ships are called submarines, and they travel deep under the water where they cannot be seen. The president's statement was about a specific kind of submarine, a nuclear submarine. President Donald Trump made a public announcement on the internet. He said that he gave a special order to the military. He told everyone that he ordered 2 nuclear submarines to move to new places. He said these new places were near Russia. This was not a normal thing for a leader to say. Usually, the location of these submarines is a very big secret. Governments do not tell the public where these powerful ships are. They keep this information private for safety and security reasons. So, when a president openly talks about moving them, it is a very strong message. It makes other world leaders and military experts pay close attention. It is a rare kind of communication that can make people feel worried. To understand this event, we need to see the full picture. The president's statement was a reaction. He was responding to words from an important official in Russia. The conversation between these two men created a tense situation. This story will look at what both people said. It will explore why they said these things and what it could mean for the world. It is a story about the power of words in international politics and the careful way leaders must speak to each other. 2. What the president said. President Donald Trump used his social media account, Truth Social, to make a major announcement. He told the public that he ordered 2 American nuclear submarines to move to new locations. He said this was a direct response to what a Russian official said. The president wanted to show that America was paying close attention. In his online post, the president explained his order. He said he moved the 2 submarines to be in the right places, just in case the Russian statements were a real threat. He wanted to be sure they were only words. The president also added a warning. He wrote that words are very important and can lead to bad results that no one wants. He said he hoped this would not happen this time. His message was for everyone to see. A short time later, President Trump spoke with reporters. He gave them more information about his decision. He said his goal was for the country to be prepared. He explained that the Russian official was talking about nuclear weapons. When someone talks about nuclear power, the president said, America has to be ready. He then said very clearly that the United States was totally prepared. However, his statement created a question. It was not clear what kind of nuclear submarines he meant. Some submarines use nuclear power for their engines. This lets them stay under the water for a very long time. Other submarines carry powerful nuclear weapons. These are a very serious part of a country's military. The president did not explain which type he had ordered to move. It is extremely rare for a president to talk publicly about moving these submarines. The location of submarines with nuclear weapons is one of the military's biggest secrets. The government works very hard to keep this information private. For this reason, the president's announcement was very striking and unusual. It made some people think of the Cold War. During that time, leaders sometimes used strong words about their nuclear power to show strength. In another interview, the president said the submarines were moved closer to Russia. He did this to make sure the officials' words were only words and nothing more than that. 3. What the Russian official said. The American president's strong action was a direct answer to words from a Russian official. This official is Dmitry Medvedev, a very well-known person in Russian politics. He has a long history in the government. For 4 years, he was the president of Russia, the country's top leader. Today, his job is also very important. He is the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. This is a small, powerful group of top officials who advise the current president on how to keep the country safe. Because of his past and present jobs, when Mr. Medvedev speaks, people around the world listen. His words are seen as a message from the Russian government. For a few days before the president's submarine announcement, Mr. Medvedev and the American leader were in a public argument. They were not talking in private meetings. Instead, they were writing messages to each other on social media for everyone to read. This online sparring match was unusual for such high-level figures. It showed a very poor relationship between them. The argument grew more and more heated with each post. The exchange became very serious after the American president told Mr. Medvedev to be careful with his words. In reply, Mr. Medvedev made a comment that was highly provocative. He talked about a military system from the time of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a large and powerful state that Russia was once part of. The system he mentioned was for an automatic retaliatory nuclear strike. This sounds complicated, but the idea is simple and frightening. Retaliatory means to strike back if you are attacked first. Automatic means the system was designed to launch nuclear missiles by itself, without a human command. This would happen if computers believed Russia was under a nuclear attack. Bringing up this old, dangerous idea from the Cold War was a very aggressive thing to do. It was a clear threat and was not a normal part of international discussion. However, it is also important to understand Mr. Medvedev's real position. He does not have the personal authority to launch Russia's nuclear weapons. The power to make that final, terrible decision belongs to the current president, not him. Inside the Kremlin, which is the center of Russian government, Mr. Medvedev often has a special role. He sometimes acts as an attack dog. This means his job is to make the strong and aggressive statements. He can say things the top leader might not want to say directly. It is a way to send a very tough message and see how other countries react. So while he is not the decision maker for a nuclear launch, his words were still a very serious part of this international confrontation. 4. Why this is important. When leaders of powerful countries talk about nuclear weapons, the world listens. It is not a normal topic for public discussion. These conversations are important because nuclear weapons are the most dangerous weapons on Earth. The words of a president can change how countries feel about each other and can make the world feel less safe. This is why these public statements are a very serious matter. The talk between the American and Russian leaders made some people think of the Cold War. The Cold War was a long time of tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, which is now Russia. During that time, both sides had many nuclear weapons. They often used strong words to show their power. This was called nuclear saber rattling. It means to show your weapons to scare your enemy. The recent statements felt like a return to that dangerous time. This kind of action is connected to an idea called deterrence. Deterrence is when a country shows its military strength to stop another country from attacking. The thinking is simple. If your enemy knows you have powerful weapons, they will not start a fight. It is a way to keep peace by showing you are ready for war. For many years, this idea has been a big part of how powerful countries work with each other. But this strategy has big risks. When leaders talk openly about moving submarines or about nuclear power, it can make other nations very nervous. There is always a chance for a mistake or a misunderstanding. One leader might say something that another leader understands in the wrong way. This could lead to a bigger problem that nobody wanted. It can damage trust between countries and make it harder to work together on other important issues. The stakes are very high. The discussion is not just about words. It is about actions that could affect millions of people. The safety of the whole world can depend on these moments. Because of this, every word from a world leader about this topic is watched closely. Their statements can have big consequences, so it is important to understand what they mean and why they matter so much. 5. Is it true? After the president made his announcement, many people had a big question. Is it true? Did he really order 2 nuclear submarines to move closer to Russia? Finding a clear answer to this question was not easy. In fact, it was almost impossible for anyone outside of the government to know for sure. The reason is simple. The United States military does not share information about its most powerful weapons. The Pentagon is the headquarters of the U.S. military, and it has very strict rules. It keeps the locations of its nuclear submarines a secret. This is very important for national security. If other countries know where these special submarines are, it can be dangerous. These submarines are designed to be hidden deep under the ocean. Their secrecy is their biggest advantage. So the military almost never tells the public about their movements. This official policy of silence helps to keep the country safe and strong. Because of this secrecy, no one could confirm the president's statement. Journalists from all over the world tried to find out more. They asked officials for information, but they could not get an answer from the Pentagon. Military experts could not prove it either. They could only study the president's words and guess what they meant. The president's statement was also unclear on one very important point. He said he moved nuclear submarines, but this can mean two different things. It could mean submarines that are nuclear-powered. These submarines use a nuclear reactor for energy and can stay underwater for a very long time. Or it could mean submarines that carry nuclear weapons. These are the most destructive weapons in the world. This is a very big and important difference. Moving a submarine with nuclear weapons is a much more serious action. Without more information, no one knew for sure which kind he was talking about. The president repeated his claim more than once. He told reporters that the country needed to be prepared. He also said in a television interview that he sent 2 submarines to the region. He explained that he wanted to make sure the Russian officials' words were only words, but repeating the statement did not make it easier to check the facts. It only made the situation more serious. Even without proof, the words themselves were very powerful. Just by making the announcement, the president created a significant situation. It was a direct and public message to Russia. Some people called this a rhetorical confrontation. This means it was a fight with strong language, not with physical weapons. The public announcement was a major event. It made people around the world talk and worry. Was it a real military action, or was it just a way to sound tough? The statement itself became the main story, and the world had to react to it, whether the submarines were moved or not. 6. How others reacted. When a leader like the American president talks about moving nuclear submarines, other countries listen very carefully. The whole world watches. Both friends and enemies want to know what is happening. This is because words about nuclear power are very serious for global safety. The public statements created a big argument with words. It was like a fight, but it used strong language instead of weapons. This kind of public argument between powerful leaders is not common. It made many people think of the Cold War. That was a time many years ago when the United States and the Soviet Union often had tense talks about nuclear weapons. Seeing this happen again made people worried about international relations. Countries that are not friendly with the United States heard the president's message. The message was a direct answer to a Russian official. It showed that the United States was not ignoring Russia's words. For these countries, the message could seem like a threat. It might make their leaders feel nervous or angry. This could create more tension and make it harder for countries to trust each other. They might feel they also need to show they are strong. Allies or the friends of the United States also paid close attention. They might have felt concerned. When big countries argue about nuclear power, it can make the world feel less safe for everyone. These friendly countries would want to understand what was really happening. They would likely contact the American government for more information. Good communication is very important between allies during a difficult time. One of the biggest dangers was misunderstanding. The president's words were not completely clear. People did not know if the 2 submarines had nuclear weapons or if they only used nuclear power to move. This type of confusion is risky. Another country could make a mistake and think the situation was worse than it was. A small misunderstanding can grow into a very big and dangerous problem. Usually, serious talks between countries happen in private. When leaders make these statements in public, it changes diplomacy. It puts pressure on other leaders to respond publicly too. This can make it difficult to find a calm and quiet solution. The event showed how public messages can have a big impact on how countries relate to each other. It affected trust between nations around the world. 7. The war in Ukraine. The strong words between the American and Russian leaders are not just about submarines. They are closely connected to the big conflict in Ukraine. This war is a major reason for the difficult relationship between the United States and Russia. President Trump has very strong opinions about this war. He talks about his feelings often and wants everyone to know what he thinks. He believes the war is a terrible event that is causing many problems. His statements are a reaction to this ongoing conflict. President Trump has said many times that the war in Ukraine should never have started. He has used very strong words to describe it. For example, he called the attacks by Russia disgusting. This shows how unhappy he is about the fighting and the damage it causes. He also has a special name for the conflict. He calls it Biden's war. By saying this, he makes it clear that he does not feel he is responsible. He believes the current American government has not managed the situation well. He wants people to understand his point of view on this very serious issue. To show his serious feelings about the war, President Trump talked about taking action against Russia. He said that he plans to put new sanctions on Moscow. Sanctions are a type of punishment that governments can use. They are rules that can stop or limit trade and money between countries. It is a way for a country to show it is very unhappy with another country's actions. By suggesting new sanctions, President Trump is sending a strong message to Russia about its role in the war. He wants to put pressure on them. But his plan is not only about punishment. He also wants to have conversations. President Trump announced that he will send a special person to Russia to talk. This person is his foreign envoy, a man named Steve Witkoff. An envoy is someone who travels to another country to speak for a leader. Mr. Witkoff's job will be to visit Russia and have important discussions. The specific details of his trip were not all shared with the public. However, the purpose of the visit is to help with the difficult situation between the countries. All of these actions, the strong words, the plan for sanctions, and the envoy's visit, point to one main goal. President Trump has said very clearly what he wants to do. His main objective is to stop the war. In a message on social media, he wrote that he is trying to see if he can stop it. The movement of the submarines and his other plans are all part of his effort to end the conflict in Ukraine. He believes that his leadership can make a difference and help bring peace to the region. 8. What comes next? The public exchange of strong words is now over. But this event makes us think about the future. It leaves behind important questions about how countries talk to each other. The world watched as leaders used social media and public statements to speak about a very serious topic. This incident shows that we live in a different time, and it has lessons for what comes next. The most important lesson is about the power of words. When a world leader speaks, their words travel around the globe very quickly. These are not just simple messages. They can change how countries feel about each other. This event was a clear example. Strong words led to a strong reaction. It shows that leaders must be very careful. What they say can create real problems, even if that is not what they want. This is a key takeaway from the situation. Everyone, from normal people to other world leaders, was listening. This incident also affects the future of US-Russia relations. This relationship has always been complex and very important for the world. To solve big problems together, countries need trust, but trust is easy to break and hard to build. When leaders from the two countries have a public fight with words, it can damage this trust. It makes future conversations more difficult. The relationship will continue to face many challenges. Future leaders will need to work hard to find ways to talk and cooperate, even when they disagree. Keeping peace in the world is not an easy job. It is a constant challenge for all nations. This event is a reminder of how delicate peace can be. When leaders talk openly about powerful weapons, it can make people and other governments nervous. It can lead to misunderstandings. The main challenge is to keep communication open but also safe. Careful and private talks are often better for solving problems than public arguments. This helps to avoid making a bad situation worse and keeps international stability. In the end, this event teaches a simple but powerful lesson. The words of a leader matter a lot. They can have consequences that reach far beyond one country. The world saw how a few sentences could become a major international story. As we look to the future, it is important for everyone to remember this. The choices leaders make about how they speak can either help build a more peaceful world or create new dangers for everyone.